This neighborhood on Cincinnati's east side might be the best balance of desirable amenities and affordability. It has all of the charm without any of the pretentiousness. But is Pleasant Ridge the right neighborhood for you? I'm Brad Akery, and I'm a local realtor in Cincinnati. And not only have I helped clients move to and from Pleasant Ridge, I also live here myself. In this video, I'll break down everything you need to know about what life is like here in Pleasant Ridge. And when we're done, you'll know if Pleasant Ridge should be on your home search, maybe it's a place that you'd like to visit, or maybe it's not for you at all. We will cover what you can expect in your next home, where the locals like to eat and have fun, where the kids are going to school in this area, and the vibe of the community. Okay, so a quick overview of Pleasant Ridge. In my opinion, this area is one of the more walkable neighborhoods in Cincinnati. It does have some affordable options, however, that's changing pretty quickly, and it is a very local-centric neighborhood. We have a lot of local businesses more than we have big chain businesses, and people really care about supporting local here. The community is really tight-knit and very welcoming too. So it's not an area that I think you would move to and be shut out. People are really interested in getting to know different people. In my experience when I moved here is all of my neighbors were really welcoming. One of the big draws of Pleasant Ridge is our business district. And we've got some great restaurants and great local shops in that area, but you're also gonna notice some empty storefronts. And I'll get into some of the dynamics that's leading to that. But that's one of the things that you might come across as a little bit of a negative with Pleasant Ridge. But before we jump into all the details here, you're watching this video probably because you're looking into the neighborhoods in Cincinnati and you might be on a home search. And if that's the case, as a local realtor, I would love to help you with that home search. We've really gone a long way to make this easy for you. We've included every single way to get a hold of us right there in the description of this video. So just click through the links there or reach out directly because we have our phone number, email, and everything that you might need to contact us. So whatever works for you, you can reach out to us. And also, if Pleasant Ridge isn't the right neighborhood for you, we're gonna be covering basically all of the neighborhoods that you're probably considering. So hit that subscribe button. This is video one of many. Hit the subscribe button, make sure that you're here the next time we're talking about some of our great neighborhoods in Cincinnati. Okay, so let's put Pleasant Ridge on the map. We're about 10 to 15 minutes downtown. We're on the east side, if you're one of those people that care about that east side, west side dynamic. And I'd say this is the northeast corner of the city. We are still in Cincinnati proper. We are one of Cincinnati's neighborhoods, not a suburb of the city. And our access to some of the major highways makes it really easy to get anywhere in the city. So highways like I-71, Ronald Reagan, as well as the Norwood Lateral means we can get anywhere pretty quick. We're very close to some of the most popular areas to live in Cincinnati. Places like Hyde Park or Kenwood or Blue Ash are all very close, and directly bordering other places like Oakley and Norwood and Amberley Village. The easiest way to understand the vibe of Pleasant Ridge is I would consider it similar to Hyde Park if it was more earthy, I guess. I don't know if that makes sense to you, but for example, I know multiple people in the neighborhood that have chickens. I don't know people who have chickens in Hyde Park. You probably can, I just don't know anyone that does. I would say it's kind of a mix of professional class and blue collar type of residents here in Cincinnati, and it's an area that appreciates that diversity of different people in the area. One of my favorite things about this neighborhood, and one of the key reasons why we chose to live here after moving from near downtown OTR areas, is it's really walkable. And we have great restaurants and bars to go to when we can get out. So we can make an easy walk to that little downtown area of Pleasant Ridge, and we have options there. When I moved here, I would have considered it a much more affordable option than Oakley. It was the type of neighborhood that someone might have included when they're looking into Oakley and Hyde Park as the more affordable option. However, those prices are going up a lot. People have figured out that this is a great neighborhood to live in. And what kind of home can you expect in Pleasant Ridge? For the most part, you're probably buying a pretty old home. It's probably 80 to 100 years old. We have a lot of Cape Cods from like the 1920s and 1940s. We have some very large Tudors on streets like Grand Vista. You can also find some small craftsmen's and bungalows, but most of the homes here are of more historic nature, and a lot of the charm of those homes has been preserved. You do see some renovations. I would say most of the renovations I see in this neighborhood are actually pretty good, which is kind of hard to come by in Cincinnati. When you're looking for a home in Cincinnati, you will see a lot of renovations, and many of them aren't great. And most of what I see in Pleasant Ridge is actually a pretty high quality renovations, but not all of them. So you want to be smart about what you buy. If you're more into newer construction, that's going to be pretty hard to come by, but not impossible. In fact, the home that I bought was new when I bought it. So it does exist, but it's more like infill new construction. So meaning that previous home was taken down and a new home was put up rather than some larger development. We're not driving around cul-de-sacs and things like that in Pleasant Ridge very often. Outside of the home, I think you have a pretty diverse selection of the size of lot that you're going to get. Some of the areas have pretty large, deep lots, especially when you're on the edge of the neighborhood that is actually the edge of the city. Some of those lots are pretty deep. But then there are other properties that have very small homes with small lots that are close together. And so it really depends. We kind of have 4 different quadrants of the neighborhood that are pretty different in different ways as far as the types of homes that you'll find and the size of lot. They were developed at different times as well. And the easiest way to define those 4 quadrants would be to look at a map and see where Ridge intersects Montgomery and consider those your boundaries of the 4 quadrants. As I mentioned earlier, it is very walkable for most of the residents in Cincinnati. The things to watch out for are Ridge and Montgomery being busier roads, but it's still easy enough to cross either of those roads if you're near one of the intersections or you're trying to get to the main area of Pleasant Ridge, or if you're trying to get to the main business district of Pleasant Ridge. And what's the community like in Pleasant Ridge? Well, in my experience, is extremely welcoming. We have people that are walking down our street all the time, and we meet new people that way. People are mostly open to at least waving or even stopping and having a conversation with a stranger. So it's been a very welcoming community for us. And I've heard that same thing from other people that I've met across the neighborhood. It seems to be a very engaged neighborhood. We have an active community council, an active business association, and an active development court where our neighbors are getting involved to make this area a better neighborhood than it already is. Right, and if you know me, you know that I love supporting local businesses. And I especially love supporting the restaurants because I just love our food scene here in Cincinnati. Pleasant Ridge shows up in that food scene. We've got some really good options here. It's not going to be as many options as places like OTR or Walnut Hills, but we've got some good options. So I'll start with a couple of our longtime favorites in Pleasant Ridge of Pleasant Ridge Chili and Gaslight Cafe. So Cincinnati cares about chili, and really you'll hear about Skyline. You'll hear about Skyline and Gold Star, the 2 biggest options. But people really care about their neighborhood chili parlor, and Pleasant Ridge is blessed to have one of the better ones in the city. So Pleasant Ridge Chili is it's a great diner, basically. If you're not familiar with the local chili parlors, you can think of it as a diner, and you can get, of course, Cincinnati-style chili served over noodles or on a coney. You can just dig into all of the whole chili culture. We won't go into that here because it would take too long. But Pleasant Ridge Chili is considered to be one of the better options. We also have great local businesses that aren't bars and restaurants, and there are a few of them that are attracting people from several other neighborhoods across the city. Places like Everybody Records, which is one of the best record stores in the entire city. Also, Queen City Comic and Card Company is a destination type store for anyone who is interested in comic books and collectible cards and toys. And for those of us with 4-legged friends, you have to know about Argos Pet Food and Supply. They're keeping our pets healthy with natural, high quality, yet affordable food and all the supplies that you need for your pets. Gaslight Cafe has been here for a long time, and frankly, they've got a great burger, they've got a great beer selection, and it is an affordable option if you're just trying to go have a drink and a quick bite to eat. The affordability and the old school charm of this place might have you calling it a dive. However, it's very clean and very friendly. So I don't know that I could really call it a dive bar. It's more like your neighborhood bars. It's a type of place that you could easily become a regular where everyone knows your name. And maybe you're just showing up to watch games, or you're just showing up for an afternoon beer, but it is a good option across the board. Some of the more recent additions to our food scene, but still really well established, would be places like Nine Giant Brew Pub, Cafe Alma, Goodfellas Pizza, Coffee Exchange, and Lonely Pine Steakhouse, and the Nine Giant Fermentorium. If you're only looking for a drink, you can add in a few of our favorite local bars like Overlook Lodge or Wise Guys Lounge, Fine Wine O'Clock, or Nine Giants Fermentorium. The most recent addition to the local restaurant and bar scene is Catch Me If You Can, which moved over from the now closed Oakley Kitchen Food Hall. If you're looking for a neighborhood that allows you to get outside and be active, or get your family to be active, Pleasant Ridge is a great option. You've got great hiking trails and just a beautiful scenic area to spend time. And I think one of the highlights for Pleasant Ridge is our access to French Park. In my opinion, one of the most underrated Cincinnati parks. French Park is great for hiking, picnics, and just getting out with the family and running around because it is scenic and very accessible. If you're more into cycling than hiking, Pleasant Ridge has some great options for you here too. My best suggestion for any cyclists moving to Pleasant Ridge is it's actually really easy to get to Little Miami Scenic Trail via going through Indian Hill. Once you realize the different routes to get over that way, you have a lot more access to different areas. But let's say you're not trying to go east, you can cut down south and get into Oakley for the Wasson Way Trail. So these areas are going to open up a little bit more as time goes on, but we've got great options for cyclists here as well. For some people, one of the biggest considerations is the local school system. So here in Pleasant Ridge, we have Pleasant Ridge Montessori. It's our neighborhood school that is a pre-K through 6 Montessori school. If you're not familiar with Montessori and you're moving to Cincinnati from afar, you probably should look into Montessori schools if schools are important to you. Cincinnati, more than maybe any other city, leans into the Montessori system, which allows kids to kind of learn at their own rate. Some of the quick details on Montessori education is you're going to have classes that have kids of different ages. They will pick up projects as they see fit. And when I say they, I'm talking about the kids here. So they kind of have more direction of where they take their education, which is a little interesting to me. I'm not familiar with the Montessori system as far as like going through it. My oldest son is only 3 right now, so he's not in school. However, I think next year he will be at the Pleasant Ridge Montessori for preschool. So it's been a learning experience, and I'm gonna learn more on this and I'll report back to you on the Montessori system in a later video. If you're someone who leans more toward private school, we've got a great option for that too. Nativity School is a school that is really well regarded in the community and very established. Actually 100 years of history in that school. You may have guessed already that is a Catholic school. However, I know people who aren't Catholic and aren't Christian that are sending their kids to that school. So from what I can tell, it is open to everyone, and not just in admissions, but just a welcoming environment for everyone as well. But what about some of those things that you might not like about Pleasant Ridge? Well, first of all, I think real estate is actually a key part of that. So it's not that you're not going to like the homes or something like that, but I think the rising prices are starting to be a con in this area. So we do still have affordable options, especially in areas near Gulf Manor or Norwood or Kennedy Heights, or you could also move to those areas which tend to be more affordable than Pleasant Ridge and still have access to all of the amenities. More on the specific real estate side of things that you might not like. If you're looking for a new construction home or a condo, we don't have a lot of those options here. You're not going to find a big new construction development. In fact, I can't recall the last time I've seen more than 2 homes being built next to each other in Pleasant Ridge. So I haven't seen like a full street built out. We do have some new construction in the area, including a large residential development, mixed-use development specifically, and that is the Ridge Apartments. It's located in Leicester and Montgomery. Frankly, this is kind of a controversial project for the area. However, I am all for it because it means a lot of new families coming to Pleasant Ridge to support our businesses and just add some life and dynamic to the neighborhood. And mostly what was taken down for that to be built up were vacant buildings. Another thing you might not like about Pleasant Ridge is, I mentioned it earlier in the video, but we do have several vacant commercial buildings in our business district. It's kind of a shame because the business district is very strong in ways. However, these vacant buildings are not helping. Some of the more notable ones would be a vacant Burger King. I mentioned earlier that we don't have a lot of chains in the area. Burger King was here and it has now closed. It's been closed for a while and it shows. And people obviously don't like to look at a vacant Burger King. Others are the old PNC Bank and Mulaney's Pharmacy. Those are very prominent. They're right in the main strip of Pleasant Ridge. The dynamic with PNC and Mulaney's is interesting because they are so prominent and they're owned by the same entity. I guess I can't speak for the owner's reason why those places sit vacant today. However, it is assumed to be associated with the plan for that area. Nearly 10 years ago, or maybe a little bit longer, there was a plan to build out the Pleasant Ridge Triangle, our square, our town square, so to speak, which is in the shape of a triangle. Those plans are online. They were sanctioned by the city of Cincinnati, and it includes things like building out that entire triangle, which would include PNC Bank, Mulaney's, which are now closed, obviously, and the UDF gas station, as well as La Rosa's, which are open. And my understanding is those buildings and properties aren't for sale. So those properties were key to the development and the plans that were set for that area. However, it doesn't seem like there's been much progress in getting the owners to transfer the properties and have that built out. So I'm not sure if that's all going to change. In fact, though, Pleasant Ridge is hoping to create a new community plan, and this could all be different. And for some people, that's going to be another one of the cons. This neighborhood is dynamic. We are going to see more changes in the future. Some people love that, and some people aren't going to like that because they won't know what it looks like in the future. I, for one, am very excited about that. I've been here for about 5 years, and I could see the vision of where the neighborhood was going, and I am one who likes to see things develop. I want to see more homes, and I want to see more families in Pleasant Ridge, adding more life, diversity, and just new dynamics into the community. But that's my personal opinion, and I chose to live here, so I'm not sure if that fits with what you're looking for. So let's sum it up. Pleasant Ridge would be a great neighborhood for someone who wants a neighborhood and home with some charm. It's still an option for someone who needs something pretty affordable. However, a larger budget will get you more in this neighborhood, as it will anywhere. If walkability and local businesses are key to a neighborhood that you're gonna love, you might like Pleasant Ridge as well. Pleasant Ridge also gives you great access to basically the entire city because we are pretty centrally located with close highways around, so we can get anywhere pretty quickly. There's a few things that makes Pleasant Ridge possibly not ideal for your search. If you need a very large house, you're gonna have a few options in Pleasant Ridge. We have many of the homes that we have here are on the smaller side. That doesn't mean that there's not large homes, but there's not a ton of them and they don't go up for sale very often, which is another con. The inventory for homes here is low and it stays low. The turnover rate in Pleasant Ridge also stays low. From what I can tell, that has been the case for quite a long time. Of the people that I know here, it feels like everyone's been here for 5 or less years or over 25 years. So maybe that dynamic changes and maybe it changes pretty quickly. And I also don't think it's the right neighborhood for you if you're prioritizing having access to a big box store or the large grocery stores right there in your neighborhood. Most of the businesses in Pleasant Ridge are local. Okay, I want to hear from you in the comments. Does Pleasant Ridge seem like the neighborhood for you? Or if you're already in Pleasant Ridge, what did I miss? Because I know I missed something here. And I have 2 things to ask of you. If you made it this far, you're probably going to like the other content that we put out because it's all focused on Cincinnati and neighborhoods like Pleasant Ridge, as well as other areas around the city. To ensure that you're not missing out, click that subscribe button, check the bell to get notifications. And most importantly, if you are considering a move, all of my contact information is in the video description. So reach out to us in whatever way works best for you because you have a lot of options here. I would love to be a part of your home search so I can tailor this information specifically to what you're looking for.